Be with my team, sipping on that lean. Came through with a dream. I said I'm sipping on that, sipping on that, sipping on that, sipping on that, sipping on my lean, and I'm with my fucking team.
Voices inside my head, they keep me up when I lie in bed. It's like my mind is a little thread, unraveling slow since the day you left. And all I hear is
me take the night out love real easy. And I know that you still wanna see me on the Sunday morning music real loud. Let me love you while the moon is still out. Something in you lit up heaven in me. The feeling won't let me sleep, 'cause I'm lost in the way you move, the way you feel. One kiss is all it takes, falling in love with me. Possibilities, I look like all you need. One kiss is all it takes, falling in love with me. Possibilities, I
lights, they glow, yeah, on sacred ground. Oh, these spinning lights, they glow, yeah, and won't slow down. These spinning lights, 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 they glow. They glow, yeah. We only just begun. We rebels on the run. Together we could start a riot. Been waiting for this day. We're reckless and insane. Together we could start a riot. Together we could start a riot.
Hello, welcome to Bathurst in, Mount Panorama in Bathurst, I guess I should state, with a season finale spectacular coming in. We have 90 minutes racing around this Australian circuit. It's going to be a big challenge for the drivers and probably plenty of action as well. It is a 6.213 kilometre track, and we are looking at some pretty high temperatures today. Air temp is at 39, track temp at 53, so I feel like we're going to have a interesting race on our hands here. And joining me today is Jeffrey. He's from America. He's the new WEC stand-in, I guess you could say. Everyone, welcome Jeffrey onto the show. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to a good race, and it's good to have someone here as well to help me carry this one. So, yeah, it's it's hopefully going to be. I was going to say hopefully not a shambles, but I feel like it probably will be. just
Yeah.
off the amount of the tight barriers, the drama we've had at races which haven't been at tracks anything close to what Bathurst is like, and it is just at the end of the practice session, so we're gonna go have a look at those results for you now. As it comes to an end, last couple of drivers just putting in their lap times. So rounding out the top of the table is Philip Samard, putting in a strong performance in practice, 205.9, the only driver to land under a 206, and Tom Basley and Baz are a little bit further behind, 4 tenths to Tom and almost 6 to Baz. And then Lucian Prishniga, he's got a great performance in that Ferrari, up into 4th. Adder in the McLaren, he's in 9th. He's a great addition to this circuit again. The McLaren seems to jump in and out of whether it can make it to a split one or not. We have quite a lot of different drivers in this one, actually, as the season finale. Puma as well in there, Rob Lewis, Tumas Tatella as well in that Porsche. he's going to be joining us for this one. So a pretty mixed bag of drivers for this. Any thoughts for you on it, or are you just looking forward to this as much as I am?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be a heck of a close race. These walls are going to make everybody be really, really nervous, and just, man, this is going to be the top of the hills is going to be crazy in the first lap. I can't wait to see what's going to happen.
I couldn't echo that statement any better myself. So we are just, well, I mean, I said practice had come to an end, but we're still waiting for a couple people to finish their laps. Well, now it's just Baz, actually, as we sit. And we will just watch him as he makes his way around the lap. He might put in a better lap here, who knows? But I've actually mistimed it a little bit on the old going through the practice results. I expected it to finish a little bit quicker. We're gonna be stuck here now, watching Baz drive around a circuit for a little bit. I mean, I don't even think he's going to improve, will he? Because his current time is 4:47 on this lap, and no.
Yeah, and there goes the session.
Yeah, there's the session ended, so Baz just wasting everyone's time. As we now make our way into qualifying, we have a little bit of a countdown here as well. Before it gets to the session, as people can make final adjustments before they head out onto the track. So 25 minutes of qualifying, plenty of time to get some laps in around this circuit. I mean, laps are about well, as we can see, just over 2 minutes long. So yeah, like that's about 10 laps in it. Not including out laps and stuff, of course. But it's going to be an interesting one. I feel like this qualifying session is going to be about who can actually put a lap in without clipping the walls or without spinning. It's going to be about getting some sort of consistent pace in this one to try and string together a chain of laps and progressively get faster rather than going out for like a sort of balls to the wall sort of hero lap. I feel like. What do you think of that? Is that sort of how you'd be approaching this? Because I know you're racing in NA, I think, aren't you, or planning to?
Well, so I think I've done, I want to say 30ish laps on this track. I've gone around and I've tried to basically get comfortable with it. And, going back to the times, I'm actually trying to pull them up right now for practice. I think that Samard actually had about a similar lap during practice as well, even though it is hotter now. So I'm actually kind of surprised. And it makes me wonder that, I mean, obviously they did 13 and 20 laps, the top two, but I'm wondering if they can pull that off in qualifying because let's see. The personal best in the practice for the race was actually it was 206.278 by Samard. So he's actually gone faster even though it's been hotter. So I'm wondering that they might have something up their sleeve that we didn't expect or actually see in the practice session.
Interesting. 40 seconds until we do make our way into qualifying. It's worth noting that it's due to a bit of poor track design. and the start finish line being so far back down the pit straight that you can, if you're one of the first few in the pit stalls, you can actually get out the pits and theoretically make it round faster than if you just go onto a flying lap. So hopefully we'll keep keeping a lookout for anyone who does try that. They have said that that's not allowed, obviously, but that does only apply for the first lap here. And I mean, if people are like taking a little bit longer than a few seconds to head on out, which they are doing, then it really doesn't mean anything. And apparently, it's just saved that replay. So hopefully we'll be all right to go racing soon. Qualifying does get underway, and the first few cars head out onto the track. That'll be interesting. I expect people are going to be trying to keep those tyres a little bit cooler on this out lap and build up, or at least just get prepared for a series of laps rather than trying to go too hard on the tyres early on. So he's right on board with Tom here. So
it does seem like that, considering that and especially the layout with the weight and all that kind of stuff, it tends to really, really punish that right rear. So it's going to be interesting to try and see with the increased conditions or the increased temperatures, if that plays as a factor, or if the front engine cars actually can outplay them basically because it's so much hotter.
Okay. So I'm just doing some audio level adjustments. Obviously, someone, well, a few people pointing out the audio level differences. I am trying to make changes. Bear with me on this one. Jeffrey, obviously, new to the broadcast, so it's just a bit of fine tuning going on. And I've actually just realised I've been editing the wrong audio channel.
That makes sense.
So that's a lesson not to speak and try and do things. Let me just sort this out for one moment. There we are. That should be much better. Well, you can see Tom Basley here just making a bit of space to Baz in front, so he gets a nice clean run out of the final corner. And actually, Baz Boom has done a 2:04.5. That's pretty quick, and that was the out lap. So as long as he goes faster than that in the qualifying, I see no reason or no issues with that. But I'll be one to just keep an eye out. So 2:04.509. Everyone make a note of that. Has Baz been a naughty boy? We'll find out later. Hopefully the audio set levels are much better now. Let me know how that sounds. Still just riding on board with Tom. I do love the sound that AMG makes. It is a lovely sound. Love a bit of V8 meat. If I was racing, that's the car I'd pick. How about you? What are your thoughts on the cars? Do you have any favourites?
Well, personally, I like the 650S, but the problem is it's got so much of a weight penalty that it ends up not really being that much of a good car to choose. So I was running the 488 personally during practice. Looks like Basley's a huge accident going down the hill.
Yep, and he luckily stays out the way well enough for the couple cars behind him there. So he's going to have to make his way back to the pits. Obviously, no fast tracking your way to the pits in the escape menu. You have to drive your way back. Same applies to the race. You have to drive to your pit stall in the race.
Yeah, it looks like Baz gets a 2:04.5.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to go much faster than that, really. I mean, if at all, based on the sort of practice times we've been seeing, the fastest was a 2:05.9 from Phillips and Mard. So, Baz probably been a bit of a sneaky boy, getting the outlap in early, and I think he was the one actually in the Discord to say that it's possible and that it shouldn't be allowed. So, I imagine that'll probably be a penalty if it does stand. But sorry,
yeah, we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, do you want to carry on about your point around the cars, or have you lost that train of thought already?
Yeah, honestly, I can't remember what I was talking about already.
No worries. Lucian Prishnikin now at the head of this pack, so he's going to have a nice bit of clean air as Baz Boomer pulled off of his lap, probably to let his tyres cool a little bit. But how are people feeling about the audio now then, or is it all right? Is it bad? Because I've not heard anyone complaining since I did those edits, so I'm assuming it's all good. If not, just shout at me. I do really like that livery though on the Ferrari of Luxian. It is a nice blue on that. Bit of a sky blue. Shows off the Ferrari's curves quite well. And those lovely white walls as well. Don't see them often on Ferraris. currently as it stands, Baz Boomer 204.509. Probably not going to stand that one because considering it's 2.5 seconds quicker than anything else currently. Philip Samard with the first valid lap time, 206.998, and Pasm just behind, a couple of attempts behind with 207.1. And that's a good showing so far for him. He's not been, I mean, he's been pretty good on pace, but never been in that sort of pole battle as of late. So it'll be interesting. Actually, him and Patrica just trade lap times there as they cross the line. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Pasm does, because it's really good to see him fighting for that pole position currently. Not many changes as the other drivers pass the line. I believe Adam may have had an issue on his outlap or on his first flying lap there. 401.7 his lap time. I assume that'll improve later as he does set an actual lap. Juki, I imagine as well, probably had a bit of an issue there. 226. People are so hard to please. Better, not perfect, but adequate. Okay. I mean, I'll take adequate on this. I'll take an adequate one. That's enough for me.
So we see a lot of people skimming the walls at the top of the hill.
Yeah, I just watched Tumas come up over the brow there, getting the car a little loose as he came over the lip, and he actually does clip the wall instead. As we watch him slide that infamous corner there. I've seen of a number of heavy incidents.
Yeah, and unfortunately that invalidates your lap as well, so you have to go around and do it again.
I mean, he's also hit the barrier and spun into another one, so I feel like
the
invalid lap is also at the least of his concerns right now, because he's going to have to drive that back to the pits. So that'll be a lovely one for him as he does get going once again as the traffic passes. Courteous as always, Mr. Tatella. If anyone else is currently on any quick laps. Pasm, he's set a good second sector here, but he's just dived into the pits, so never mind on that one. Tom Basley as well is going pretty quick in the second sector. 44.2 for him. His own personal best as he heads towards... oh god, I always forget these corner names. Well, he's heading into the final chicane at the end of the long back straight. You know what, I'll quickly get something up on my second screen here.
According to Google, it says the chase.
The chase, that sounds correct. That does sound correct. I've heard that used before. Yeah, and that's down the Comrade Straight is the one I was referring to, that long back straight. But Tom Basley does go a little bit quicker. Parks his way into second place actually, as he does a 206.5. That's 4 tenths quicker than Lucian Prishnika and Philip Samard actually as well. Ooh. In terms of quick lap times, currently nobody's doing any. But as I say that, actually Philip Samard has set a new personal best in the first sector. As we ride with him. We'll see what he can post in his second sector now. He needs to try and keep it clean, using all of the track available to him on this tight circuit. Dipping the wheels over the white line, but I mean, it's only the two he's dipping over. He clips that inside wall as well. I feel like that might invalidate the lap as well. Just clipping that inside just ever so slightly, even though it doesn't really gain any advantage. The tracker is very sensitive to that. Although that might not apply to this qualifying session. Either way, he's still a little ways down in the second sector there. 44.5. That's a few tenths off what other people are doing. Let's see what he can do across the line, but I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular. No, it isn't. Slight improvement on his best, 206.693. Actually, it's a two tenths quicker. So obviously that first sector was good enough to claw back a couple tenths there. So just get held up by traffic coming out of Hell's Corner, whatever it's called. Yeah, Hell Corner, that's the one. Got it right the first time. Need to have a bit more confidence in myself. Baz, he set a new personal best sector 2. Is this his moment to improve on that lap time and make it stand? I don't think so, because his first sector's so off the pace. But he is coming into Murray's Corner now. The final corner. Let's see what he does. I don't expect there to be any sort of improvements here, unless this Audi has rocket boosters. No, it doesn't. It's a 1.8 seconds off his pace. So the chance of anyone beating that time is just out the window. And expect Baz to get a massive penalty there for that one. Well, at least, I mean, I'm not the one issuing penalties, so can't say exactly what penalty you'll be getting, but people aren't going to be happy about that one. I'll say that for sure. Meanwhile, Kimo Leppänen in that very bright, I think is that the Koof one? Yes, it is. That's the Koof GTR. Very, very noticeable, that one. As he heads back down the hill. Set a nice first sector, 46.7. Yeah, that's his personal best. And if he can string together a couple more good sectors here as he heads towards the Conrad Straight, he might be able to jump up the order a little bit. He's currently in P9. See what he can do for the second sector here. It's another personal best, 44.9. These are some good sectors. This should jump him up the leaderboard a little bit. As long as he can keep it going and down this Conrad Straight, that GTR is going to be mighty. It's very quick in that straight line, isn't it? Through the chase there. But hopefully, should be able to make something work here as he crosses the line. He does go 5th, 207.007. He's a James Bond. Pasm is 207.008. Wow, partners in crime, and yes, can't really get much closer than that. Is that 1/100th? No, 1,000th of a second between them. Very close there.
Timo just mentioned that you can actually clip the walls during qualifying.
Oh, you can.
This is a correction.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought that might be the case, which is why I slightly backtracked on myself. But good to have a bit of confirmation. Philip Samard again. On a lap, not better than his personal best in the first section, but we'll see if he's had a good second section. So, look, Shamprashnika just classes the barrier there, coming off onto the Conrad Straight, and that's not gonna do his lap time any wonders, and neither his car as well. He's probably broken a bit of suspension there, at least damaged it, and gonna have to drive his way back to the pits now. But again, nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Sorry, carry on.
Unfortunately, he was having a little bit of trouble with the dipper, and around that area, like turn 11 and turn 12, he's been sliding around all over the place, and it seems like he's been struggling to try and find grip there.
It might have something to do with the heat. Perhaps his tyres are a little overheated. It's very possibly the reason for that one. A few people running softs though, so they're probably going to be little one-lap wonders. I doubt you'd be able to run many qualifying laps in succession on them.
Yeah, the only way you could really do that is by taking a cool lap and then really, really pushing hard on the lap to probably try and get a good average temperature. But even then, towards the end of the lap, you get really, really hot temperatures in your tires, and it wouldn't be fun.
Aye. So yeah, it'd be a struggle to try and just keep the car on the track in that final sector, I guess. Try and keep the time. If you spot anyone going fast, just give a shout, and we can have a look. But as I say that, too much to tell it. He's just put in a blinder there. 206.1, puts himself into P2. Right behind Baz. So that's a very good lap from the Porsche driver. Was absent in Barcelona. And he's making his return in flying Finn style here. Giving those AMG drivers a run for their money at the front of the pack. Excuse me. Getting a bit gassy from all this Coke I'm drinking. Probably wasn't the wisest idea, but we'll roll with it. Yeah, Fritz pointing out the people on the softs are the GTR drivers, and those do have a very good window for the softs, so it's probably alright for them to be using them.
Looks like Tomas had a pretty big spin at the top of the hill, and he had to wait for cars to go by for quite a while. That might have cost him a lap or two.
That's happened twice for him now, up at the top of the hill, so hopefully he's not going to be repeating that during the race, because that would be a bit dangerous for everyone, especially if you're starting towards the front. We may have a good old-fashioned pile-up on the first lap. Oh boy! I mean, there is just under 7 minutes left of qualifying. People are going to be heading out for their final set of laps here. As I'm not sure there's any real point watching Baz Boomer currently. I mean, I don't really think he's going to be able to improve at all as he goes on to a new lap, but he might be able to pull some sort of miracle out the hat. You never know. Meanwhile, Prashnika further ahead. Actually, he's on an outlap as well. Never mind. Got a bit worried there. But he's just, well, I think he had to cut the chicane there towards a dipper a little bit. Oh, sorry, the S's. My bad. Dipper's a bit further down, isn't it? Rob Lewis set a good first sector. He might be able to climb up the order a little bit here. 47.2 for him in the first sector as he heads his way towards the S's now. Trying to keep it steady, a little bit off the apex, but that's alright. That's 69 Supernova Racing AMG looking good as it heads down the hill. Nice and composed. So this might be a good lap for him. So he now heads onto the Conrod Straight. Nice and tidy. Let's see what his second sector is like. It was a 47.2 in the first sector. The second sector is a 44.8. Another personal best for him. So this is looking like a good lap. And this could be putting him towards the around the top 10 possibly. Possibly 11th. Maybe 10th if he has a very nice final sector here. Let's see what he can manage. Again, nice and tidy. Nothing spectacular, but it is clean. As I said earlier, that's what you need to be doing here, building up on the clean laps rather than going, as I said, balls to the wall on every single lap. Get into a rhythm and start chaining those laps together, and he does go 207.3, right, slots right into P11, just behind Yuki. 10th down on him, and just ahead of Puma, 10th up on him. So a good lap from him. Baz's last lap was a 2:05.9, and that had 2 personal best sectors in it. I mean, the first sector wasn't one of them. So, I feel like we have a conclusive answer on whether Baz can replicate that lap time. He can't. So, yeah, that's... Yeah. As I said earlier, we don't need to go into it anymore, I guess, but that's going to be a bit of a penalty for him. I believe he has already won the championship, so, I mean, does it really matter for him at this point? Unless he gets docked a load of championship points, not really. Which I don't find likely.
It does seem that he has very good race pace over, or at least he has quite a bit of good, consistent laps, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, definitely. He's really excelled this season, won the majority of the races. So, can't really... Hasn't put a foot wrong, really, this season. That's for sure. And again, Baz sets a new personal best sector too. 44 dead. But that first sector is just off the pace from that cheat he did. Only a couple minutes left. Final lap's going to be coming through now. Just enough time to head out the pits and start a new one if they are currently in the pit. Luxian just tapping the walls again slightly there. And that's going to just hamper his lap ever so slightly, and it is not a great for sector 47.5. So I don't think he'll be improving on this one. However, Phillips and Mard, 43.9 in the second sector as he comes across the line. What can he do? 205.9, heads himself into second place. Pips Tumas by a couple tenths there. So a very nice lap from him. Tumas is also currently on track in the first sector, I believe. He's just finished his out lap, and yeah, he's heading up the hill, but I think I just saw him wobbling off the hill there. Oh, sorry, the wall slightly as he heads over the top of the hill. He's had a few issues here before. Can he hold it this time? I think he's managed to keep it clean this time at the top of the hill, and now he's going to start the descent. Looks so fast from the onboard here as you head through the S's and into the dipper now. It's actually looking very composed. A little wobble there across the curb, but nothing to be too worried about. Heavy braking now as he heads onto the Conrod straight. It's looking very good this lap. 46.5 in the first sector. That's half a second quicker than what Phillips and Mard is doing in that first sector. However, a few tenths down in the second sector, so currently it's going to be pretty even. A couple tenths separating them, but I think that AMG is going to be a faster car in this final sector, so what can Tumas pull out here? Looked like the braking went a little bit deeper than he wanted there into the chase. As he heads under the Liquid Moly Bridge and into Murray's Corner. Needs to keep it clean and on the asphalt. Again, just a tiny bit off the apex, and he ends up going too deep, and that's going to cost him heavily, I feel. It does. It's still a new personal best, but that mistake in the last corner surely cost him a little bit too much time there, and he puts in a 206.093, which is still only good enough for third. It was looking so good for him until that final corner, as we do just wait for the last drivers to put in their laps. See who is on a lap. Kimmo Leppänen. He is, as he heads down the Conrad straight, not put any new fastest sectors in for himself. But we'll see what he can do. Obviously, that GTR very fast down the Conrad straight. Just a very fast car in general, and a bit of a wobble it seemed like as he hit the curb. But it's going to stay composed, and he's actually going to head into the pits. And I'm not sure anyone else is going to be improving. However, Jeffrey, do you know if Tumas and Tom got across the line before the time ended? I think they did get across the line before the time ended. However, Tumas has spun out. Tom might be setting a new lap here. Tom might be the only person to improve on this one as he heads down the hill.
Loose.
Yeah. And again, just a slight bit of oversteer as the car rides through those compressions. well, I should say coming out of the compressions really, and he, ever so close to the wall there, and he's actually backed out of it. It's not quick enough.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't think anyone else is really setting any lap times. Baz Boomer just come through the same section as Tom, and he bails out as well. Ushan Prashnika's just heading into the pit, and he was the last car out on track. So that is going to be the results for this qualifying session. Those 25 minutes flew by. How are you feeling about this grid, Jeffrey? Excluding Baz.
Yeah. You know, it's looking pretty much. I think it's right next to it's pretty similar to the lineup of the practice session. In all honesty, it's pretty close, which is pretty. I don't know if I want to say surprising, but it definitely lines up with everything. But yeah, I would say it's definitely going to be an interesting race as well. But I mean, if you look at the gap in lap times, that's also going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, and as we saw during that qualifying, Baz did put in a 205.9 a couple times, I think. So, I mean, he'd still be up there in that leading pack. So let's see what the stewards do decide on that one, and what the actual plan is for the start of the race. Whether he will just start from pole, I assume he will be. It's too much hassle to rearrange the grid, I guess. I mean, I just see the race starting normally. Baz will probably get hit with some sort of penalty at the end, a time penalty maybe. That's the outcome I expect. And we'll just have a quick run through of those results now for you. So we have, well, Baz Boomer on pole, as we just discussed. Probably going to get hit with penalties after the race. Philip Samard will line up alongside him. Then Tumas Teller in that Porsche, splitting the Mercedes, and that's Tom going to be behind him. Pazim, good performance for him, up into 5th, however, a little bit off the pace of those top 4. Mushan Prishnika just behind Pazim, and then Kimo Lepinen and Jonas Koberstein line up on the final row of that, well, on the 4th row, I should say. Jonas Savula and Yuki, they're in the 9th and 10th. Rob Lewis in the AMG, and Puma will line up alongside him. Matteo Lorenzetti and Soggy, they're in 13th and 14th, and Philvit and Petter, 15th and 16th. Voffel, Sarayan, the next two on the grid, 208s we're into now, and Jura and Pazzi Malonen, next two, and Freddie and Ada will line up at the back of the grid, and Ada not actually setting a representative lap time. 4:01 is the best for him. That would have been an outlap, so yeah, that's going to be how we line up for this grid. I mean, not many surprises there, I guess. I don't know about you, you're just waiting before the cars go onto the grid, and we'll have another little bit of a wait there when they do go on the grid. And don't forget, Jeffrey, to put your car back in the pit stall before the race starts.
Yep, I gotta do that.
Yeah, don't want to have the car sat on the grid as they come back around for the second lap. That would be traumatic for everyone. There we are. There we go, and I've reset myself. Oh. So, what are you expecting on this first lap?
Well, you know, it seems to me that the gap in the lap times is probably going to make for a really, really crazy first lap, and then they might start spacing out a little, or after a little while. The draft could make it interesting, but we're going to have to see how that works out.
Yeah, that draft down the mountain straight is going to be an interesting one. I feel like there's going to be a few attempts up towards Griffin's. That's the second corner at the end of that first straight. So yeah, expect some action there on the first lap. A lot of people will be wanting to make a attack. A couple of people, well, Timo's saying that no penalties will be given to Baz, even though he did make that mistake at the start. Well, the invalid lap at the start, I guess you say, because he did set a time representative of pole anyway. So we'll see. Anyway, we're only 36 seconds away from the start of the race. I'm expecting pile-ups. Not gonna lie. Not that I want them. I want a nice good race, but I'm expecting them because it's been very similar happening at the other tracks, and I feel like this is not going to be a good environment for this. But the lights are going to make their way on now. All 6 of them, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 as we wait for lights out. And we're off. The race is Bathurst underway. Baz Boomer gets a good start off the line. Tumas, brilliant start from third up alongside Baz into the first corner. Not able to make the challenge onto Baz, but he does stay with him. But he rides up onto the grass, and that's going to allow Tom Basley the chance to regain his position back on him. And this is going to allow Baz actually to make a good bit of progress. And Tumas and Tom, they're going to be side by side all the way down the mountain straight. This is going to hamper them massively. Neither of them getting a slipstream here, and the crowd of cars behind them is unrelenting as he heads side by side into Griffin's. Tumas still on the inside as he head now up the hill. He will finally back off as we head into what is
an accident at the rear.
What is essentially a one-way system now. One by one, they will head the way through. And who was it? Did you spot the cars that made contact there? Was there anything serious?
It looks like somebody almost spun. I couldn't tell who it was, but looks like they all got through now.
Oh, good. It's good to hear. No pileups just yet. But Baz, he's already a second plus away from Tom as the 2 cars behind him scrapped. Tumas fallen away from Tom a little bit now. But he has Pazem right on his tail. So, going to be some good battles up at the front here. Yeah, mostly single file up through the entire mountain section there. Nobody really having the chance to make any sort of moves, which I like to see. Good bit of discipline from the drivers on this very twisty track. I heard there was a workshop race yesterday which didn't go too well. Rob Lewis pulling alongside Puma up down the Conrod straight. Not going to be able to make a move, and slots in behind as he head into the chase. So a little bit of a look for a position there as Blame goes a little bit wide. Is that Blame? No, sorry, that's not Blame. That's
Juki.
Juki, that's the one. I got myself confused there. Blame's not even in this race. And he is alongside Rob Lewis there as he tries to defend his position. Side by side along the start-finish straight. I think Juki's probably going to have the better line here into the first corner. Rob Lewis going very wide, giving him space, and will end up just behind him, I think. Juki, did he get a little bit sideways there out of the first corner? A little bit wheel spin, but Rob Lewis gets the slipstream, and now he's going to have the attack on towards Juki. Up ahead as well, I think that's Janis Koberstein in a battle with Kimo Lepinen, and Rob Lewis easily makes his way past Juki there. And now Juki's actually under attack from another car behind him. That'll be Soggy if he backs off just before they head up their hill. Janis Koberstein sat inside a bit of a GTR sandwich here. Got Kimo Lepinen ahead of him and Jonas Savula just behind. So he's going to be wanting to make some moves, but we've found out this entire season how hard it is to overtake those GTRs, and I'm expecting it to be largely the same here. Especially considering the only real places for an attack are at the end of some massive straights, so which the GTRs excel at, and then there's not really much space through the mountains to get past. So I imagine it's going to be a frustrating afternoon/evening for Jonas Koberstein. Sat behind a GTR for an hour and a half. I would not. I would not volunteer for that. I'm more than happy to sit here commentating it.
Punches a nice hole.
Yeah, I mean, it's still struggle to get that, even with the slipstream. And oh, one of the Lamborghinis there spins out. That's Phil Vitt. At the exit of the chase spins out and heads towards the inside. But meanwhile, the battle between Petter and Pasi Malinen ongoing here. 2 GTRs going at it. And The GTR slipstream, even with the slipstream of a GTR, you still struggle to make headway on them. It's they just have so much power behind them. It's unreal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Petr might be able to make a move though, since he also has the GTR power on his side, should I say. So you watch him pull out to the left. These GTRs are so wide, they take up the entirety of the track. And into the first corner, I think Petr's got the move done. Yes, he have. Pasi Malonen will concede. Up ahead as well, there's a few more battles erupting. Puma on the heels of Janis Koberstein, who has lost a position as well to Janu Salvula. Everyone keeping it clean so far. Just a couple mistakes from our drivers, putting them a little bit further back from the field than they would have hoped for. No big one yet. To a few people's disappointment in the chat. Yeah. I could just feel the pressure that's going to come with the lapping of cars up in the mountain. That might be a challenge for a few people. But also a bit more excitement for us.
Yeah, you know, it just seems like the front of the field is so spaced out that I think they're just going to be doing hot laps and just trying to stay clean at this point.
Yep, Rob Lewis making a move on Puma there. Gets the job done down the Conrad straight. Good move from him as he works his way up the field. Now into P9. As Puma having a little sniff back at him. But his next target is going to be Jonas Koberstein in that red Ferrari. As Puma sets a new fastest lap. That's 7 minutes of racing done. Only an hour and 23 to go. I thought just having a little sniff at Lorenzetti there. No, wait, not able to get past though. Again, as we've seen, very often it's just a battle of overtaking down the straights using the slipstream and then getting overtaken on the next straight.
Oh, this is really tight. Baffle. Getting really, really tight with what seems to be the... that was the GTR at the time, but it looks like he fell behind.
Would have been Pasi Malonen, I assume, then. In that bright GTR. Oh, someone off in the background there. I think that was Jorda. No, it wasn't. It was... Who was
Freddie.
that? Freddie off in the background. So the camera can't quite pick him up. That McLaren into the wall. A 3M. That's going to be a setback for him. As he now gets overtaken by Serrain in another McLaren. Meanwhile, back in the midfield, Juki at the back of this battle of with Puma. Up ahead, Rob Lewis on the back of... Sorry, not Rob Lewis. Koberstein on the back of Jonas Salvula. And will make the pass. But he's under threat again as they head through the chase. Jonas going to have to slow him behind. And it's a nice 5-way battle erupting now for this... P8. Oh god, there's a lot of cars in this one now. Make that a 7-way battle. You ever been in a 7-way before?
I'm gonna say no.
No, you haven't really. Puma under attack from Juki there, right under his rear wing, and I feel like he might be able to make a move now down the mountain straight up towards Griffin, turn 2. Depends whether how good of a slipstream he can get. Yeah, nothing showing its face from that one. Just going to be single file up the mountain once again. Up at the front, Baz Boomer, over 2 seconds ahead of Tom Basley and Tumas Tatella in 3rd place. Tumas just under a second behind Basley, holding that sort of pace. And then Philip Smart a further 3 seconds behind, as he's got Pasm just behind him. Rob Lewis right on the tail of that GTR. Has Puma right behind him though, as he just shows a little bit of presence. Not going for anything. This is allowing Koberstein to open up the gap just a little bit to the pack behind him, which I'm sure he's happy about. Ooh, Rob just sliding, the car going loose over that hill there. Just over the crest. This train, I feel like this is going to be a battle for a little while as they file through. Next overtake attempt is going to be down towards turn 2. I'd imagine unless Juki has something to say in towards the first corner here. Not close enough to make a move though. So how would you approach a battle like this? You sat in Puma's position. What do? Do you try and go on the offensive towards Rob Lewis, or do you just focus on holding that position to Juki?
I would say at this point, considering that the Ferrari is that much closer, I would say probably going to have to defend for now, especially considering he doesn't have as much of a draft as the guy behind does.
Yeah.
It looks like he might get some good braking through the turn. He might be able to catch up to the Mercedes up ahead.
Yeah, the Audi is definitely a lot stronger in this midsection than the GTR, or the Mercedes is. So able to close up a little bit, but then not able to really make much use of it, I guess, in this section.
It's getting really close there.
Yeah, maybe something here could be done, but it'd be brave, that's for sure. Just gonna have to follow him down the hill again.
Yeah, he needs to stay really close to the Mercedes up ahead throughout past the turns, because he ends up seeming to lose it a little bit when he's coming out in the exits. So if he gets a good run right here, he might be able to stick to him. But see,
oh no!
As he goes off,
he's spun that round, and that is not what he wanted. Gets clattered as well, and oh, we've got a bit of an accident going on here. A few drivers slowing down, and it's not gone well. It's not gone well indeed. A few cars involved. Petter's one of them. His GTR is pretty totaled. Freddie's another one in that 3M. Oh no, sorry, not Freddie. Soggy. 3M Audi this time. So yeah, a bit of someone's just asked where the big one is. That wasn't a big one, but it was certainly something. Quite a few cars involved in that. I think Ada, Pazim Malanen involved. Obviously Pasm. Sorry, not Pasm. Who am I thinking of here? The Audi we were just on board with. Why can't I think? Puma it was. Puma. That's who I'm thinking of. Who has actually disconnected from the server. Obviously they're damaged too much, I believe. Oh wait, am I getting really confused here? No, I have no idea. I've been derailed completely. Please steer me back on course. I mean, that has broken up a bit of the action that we were enjoying. Passing Malanen right on the back of Lorenzetti, and he loses it going up the hill. The barrier clanging, though, helps keep him pointing the right way, but that's done his front end no good, and that's allowed Giora past as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. He definitely could have fried his right rear.
Yeah, definitely.
It's Dimitri in the chat.
Yep. Pit Pit window about to open in just under 30 seconds. I could expect maybe some of those cars caught up in that collision to head into the pits to get some damage repaired on an early pit stop. Maybe fit a set of hards, possibly. Maybe another set of the mediums and try and go to the end, or get another pit stop later on towards the end of the pit window, and then go to the end from that.
Yeah, be interested to see if anybody picks up hards in this kind of condition, especially because it's just incredibly hot.
Yeah, that is a good point actually, because if you do make one of those mistakes where it's you spin up the wheels exiting a corner, that's gonna hurt you a lot. The temperatures are gonna like skyrocket, and then it's just a bit of a slippery slope from there. Rob Lewis under a bit of pressure from Juki now. Might be able to make a move on the AMG driver. A little bit too far back, I think. Didn't get a great exit out of the first corner.
It's a good battle going on between Yura and Lorenzetti.
And actually, I've just
getting
noticed
really
something.
close.
I've just noticed something as well. A battle for second position is heating up. Tuma Statella on the rear of Tom Basley through the mountain section. He's only a couple attempts behind, but he's dropped back a little bit. I think losing a bit of the rear end in that AMG slipstream. So he's probably going to have to claw his way back again. But he's definitely closing up on him. And not far behind is Philip Samard. We might have a freeway here. Freeway for P2. Tumas getting a lot wider out of that corner onto the Conrod straight than Tom Basley was. Tom Basley straightened up a lot earlier and then getting on the throttle. Tumas choosing to ride the speed a bit more through there and take a wider exit. Nothing gonna come as of yet. Tumas just sitting in that stream, gaining a bit of time. Oh, he gets it a little bit loose again. Manages to collect it, but just loses a bit of time to Tom Basley and is now under threat from Philip Samard behind. He might be able to get a good slipstream down the mountain straight. I'm not sure if anyone is actually close enough to make any sort of move on this one. The gap's pretty equal. Definitely not close enough for a slipstream to overtake. Yeah, as Fritz has pointed out, I feel like Tumas is being held up a little bit by Tom Basley, and Philip is now going to get held up by them both, so Philip's only going to keep gaining. Maybe Tom is struggling with the tyre temps. And I feel like everyone's going to start closing in on this battle. Or at least Pazim and Prashnika maybe. As long as they don't fight with each other too much and just put in some lap times, I think they'll be able to catch up to this pack, and then we'll have a proper battle going on. Petter has disconnected from the server as well. That's our third
Unfortunately,
retirement.
he took a lot of damage.
Yeah, in that collision with Puma. And the other cars. I don't think Pazzy Malonen has stopped. I think that's just a combination of the damage and the actual slowed down from the collision that's put him that far back. But Tumas is quite close to Tom as he head onto the Conrod straight. Less than 5 tenths behind him as he enters the slipstream. Closing ever so slightly, 4 tenths behind now. Not able to get much closer into the chase. Philip not quite close enough just yet either, so it's going to be Tumas versus Tom for the time being. Tumas really needs to get up the backside of one of these AMGs out of one of the tightest sections to stand a chance down the straights, because he's not able to gain much time in the slipstream. It's really a struggle for him to make enough of progress under the slipstream, as he's currently like 3 tenths behind, but just not gaining enough in that slipstream. He's not going to be able to attack again. He's just going to have to sit behind for just another run through this mountain section, unless he forces Tom into a mistake. Which is unlikely, with many mistakes can be made on the mountain. It's just about keeping your rhythm through there and knowing that nobody's going to be able to attempt to pass on you unless you make a mistake. You don't have to drive flat out, you just have to drive stable. You see, that's exactly what's happening here. Just set yourself up, keep your tyres in good condition, and set yourself up for a good exit onto those straights.
As you can definitely see, the Mercedes of Basley seems to have a really, really good time in the middle sector. So he gets away from Tumas quite a bit.
Yeah, Tumas may be struggling a little bit in the slipstream of the car ahead for that tight section. Just unsettling the car a little bit. It's about the same gap as it was last time between the two. I feel like this might become a stalemate for a little bit longer. Tumas a little bit tighter through the chase there. Keeping the car a bit nicer. Or well balanced, I should say.
Seems like Samard has catched up as well to the back of Tuma.
Yeah. Ooh, Tumas is right behind Tom here. Less than 3 tenths between them. This could be Tumas's chance. This is going to be Tumas's chance. It's his best one yet. As he pulls out the slipstream, as he gets hit by a wave of air, he's being squeezed by Tom right up to the white line here. As he's side-by-side into Griffins, and Tumas has to back out of that one. He's been squeezed right up against the wall and will concede that battle. And will try and set up for another attempt. But he's shown Tom that he's willing to go for it. He's willing to make a move, and he needs to. And now Tom knows that he needs to be better prepared coming out of those corners onto the straights. He needs to get a better exit and make sure Tumas can't do that again.
Yes, unfortunately, again, Mercedes seems to get ahead in the middle sector.
All of these cars are looking very planted and very stable as well as fast, so it's going to be a tough time to try and force your opponent into a mistake. All of them looking very solid right now. Remember, the pit window is open currently, so everyone is required to make a stop during this time period. We'll get a warning before it closes as well, that you'll be able to see in the top left. Tumas sets up for another overtake again in the same position, goes across the start-finish line. Tumas right up the back, and I think he may have gone a little bit deep there, but he's so close, 3 tenths behind. He's now into the stream once again. Tom Basley has him right off his chuffer here, and again he's just going to defend the inside line, force Tumas to take the outside, the lesser favoured line. As they're now side by side again, Tumas squeezed right up to the wall, and again he's going to have to concede. He tries to stick it out a bit further actually, and Tom gets a little wiggle coming out of the Griffin's bend, and Tumas actually takes the position. Well played, my son. Brilliant overtake there to keep it going around the outside. He thought he's not going to back out again. He's gone balls to the wall on that one, and he's made it stuck. Tom a little bit shook by that. I would have expected Tom to back out of it like he did last time, but Tumas sticks through it, and Tom not able to take the line he wanted. Ends up a little bit squirrely. And that is a lovely overtake, and that is how I want it to be. Tom isn't really dropping back from too much as of yet. He might have another chance to overtake as they head on to the Conrod straight shortly. As, the AMG will get the slipstream. But now Philip also has a new target ahead of him. That is the AMG. I think Tom is a little bit too far behind Tumas to try and attack this time. Down the Conrod. 6 tenths back. Tumas had to get within about 3 tenths to have a chance.
Oh, as he outbrakes
Yeah.
himself a little bit.
Tom across the grass, almost loses it. Holds it very nicely, but now that's meant he's lost another position now to Philip Samard. And we might have a nice battle ensuing soon between Philip and Tumas, so that'll be one to look forward to. But for now, the battle's over. And we can take a bit of a breath. Tom needs to be careful of Pasm not far behind him. Only a couple seconds between them, and it might be possible for Pasm to close up a little bit. Tom's obviously still trying to clear his tyres off that grass he's just picked up. Should be gone soon though, and he'll be back up to speed. Towards the back, there's a freeway battle going on here. Matteo Lorenzetti in the middle of it has Soggy ahead of him and Sarayan behind. The two Audis very damaged. You can see on the windscreens they've had a decent amount of contact. As he head through the final corner, Sarayan very close to that Audi rear end. I'm not sure anything going to happen though. Whether, as I say that, Sarayan, it's a very nice line through the first corner and is right on the back of Lorenzetti. How is he going to be able to get the slipstream in that bright blue Sega 650S? Not sure he is going to be able to get enough of a slipstream. He's starting to pull now, but it's too little too late, and Sarayan will have to slot him behind once again. Well, for a lap through the mountains at least anyway. Juki side by side with Kimmo Leppänen through the dipper. Manages to get his way through, and that's a position for him. Kimmo alongside the grass as we rejoin the battle. Juki just shot away from Kimmo Leppänen there. Already 2-3 seconds ahead. I think Kimmo's got a bit of damage maybe.
Sounds like he's actually getting off the throttle a little bit.
Weird. Maybe either pedal issues or fuel issues, I'd guess. And Juki's actually come into the pits. He navigates a tight pit entry there. Yeah, both of them enter the pits. I haven't said his name much since the start, but Baz still up out in front. 7.5 seconds to the car behind, and this is the sort of drives we've been expecting. We've come to expect this season, I should say. Just takes the lead at the start and rolls with it. And nobody basically touches him the entire race, which is just absolutely exceptional. Not much more you can say about it. Just watching him, he goes so close to those barriers. You think he's going to be like just clattering them every single lap, but he's just precision perfect if you watch him. Knows exactly the lines to take and exactly the speed to carry. I think Juki has just made a pass onto Soggy there as he comes out of the pit. Soggy very damaged. Sarayan also looking to overtake, and yeah, Soggy's got actually just pulling over to let Sarayan by. It looks like he's struggling so much with the car that he's not really able to make his way through. Juki now got a bit of clear space ahead of him, 7.5, almost 8 seconds to the car ahead, and that'll be Voffel. So now Juki can start putting in some of those quick laps, doesn't have to worry about the traffic, doesn't have to worry about anybody getting in his way for a little while. He can start to claw back the time on these new tyres. Just qualifying lap mode, I guess. Philip Samar is less than a second away from Tumas Tatella, but I feel like it might sit that way for a little bit longer. Philip probably is going to struggle to close that last little bit of a gap towards Tumas. But it's so incredible how close they are running to these barriers, lap after lap, so consistently. Just riding on board with Philip Samar, and it's just, oh, gives me a stiffy. I love a bit of precision driving, me. But I do not think he's close enough to Tumas to challenge this lap. Tumas having a little bit of a lock up mid-corner there. He's hard on the brakes, but just a tiny little puff of smoke. At the back, Hazim Malinen's closing on Lorenzetti, I think. I think Freddie has just retired as well, or has retired recently. Has he actually going onto the grass a little bit there at the exit of the first corner? That'll cost him a bit of time. As he tries to overtake Lorenzetti, and Soggy has entered the pits as well.
Rob Lewis is getting pretty close to Jonas there.
He is indeed. It might be a good battle, but again, it's against a GTR, as I was saying earlier. The wide boy and the fast boy. It's going to be a struggle for him to make a move. For all we know, he could have been sitting behind Jonas since the start of the race. It's not a position I envy, as Rob actually goes onto the grass a little bit there, and that won't help him. Loses a bit of speed coming out the corner. Philip Samard, as you were saying earlier, the AMG is quick in the middle sector, has closed up to Tumas Tatella a little bit through that middle sector once again, but is he going to be close enough to make a move anytime soon? What do you reckon?
You know, it's staying pretty stagnant, so I'm not quite sure. I wonder if I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure what to think about this. This is going to be probably an interesting one for a little while. It might stay this way, or if anybody makes a mistake, it'll probably change everything. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and a stake up in the mountain could be very, very pivotal in a battle. Just a little slip up and could wreck yourself, maybe even the person you're chasing, and slap yourself. Get a penalty fine as well, possibly. But we'll see. I'm sure everyone will manage to make it through all right, apart from the people that have already crashed out. Rob Lewis in a battle with Jonas Alvula, as you were saying, he's actually managed to get very close down the Conrad straight, despite the GTR being so quick. Never not close enough to actually finish the move. slotting behind, but it's very close, just under a few tenths away. If he gets a good exit out of this first corner, he might have a chance up until turn 2. Takes a bit of a deeper line, choosing a cut back to get a better exit. Not hoping him just yet as he's struggling to pick up the slipstream of that GTR. Just behind them is Ada as well, who's having a bit of a solo race currently. Also worth knowing, Ada started PAC? No, PE22. Ada started last, didn't he?
Yep.
He's currently in P10. I believe he hasn't pitted yet, but still quite a few positions gained, I guess, along with the retirements. Not too bad. Actually, you know what? I remember Ada in the Discord channel was saying how he was just going to start from last.
That's right.
I think he did say he was just going to start from last and avoid all of the carnage, but that carnage never came, unfortunately. Which would explain why he only set that 401. I love remembering things, it's great. So is Rob going to be able to get close enough to Jonas again? I don't think so. He's currently like 8 tenths behind coming down the Conrod. Unless that GTR has some moment coming into chase, I doubt it. Nope, both of them perfectly fine. 53 minutes of the race left. Tom Basley's coming to the pits, actually. I've just noticed that. So, interesting for him, taking a bit of an early stop compared to the other drivers towards the front of the field. Probably going to go for another set of the mediums, sort of the halfway point. Well, almost about 8 minutes away from halfway, if my maths correct. Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Half of 90 is 45. Yeah,
Yep.
My skill set at school wasn't very wide. At college I did maths, physics and computer science. I only did maths because I needed it for computer science, and I only did physics because it fit in well with the others and everything else seemed boring. Got a D in maths and physics, and then a B in computer science. You can tell where my heart was laying. It was, and now it's was good enough to get me a job, so I rolled with it. Didn't need that maths or physics anyway, I guess. Did just well enough.
It's a job that counts, right?
Yeah, did just well enough not to fail. So that's what mattered. Just still watching this Rob Lewis and Jonas battle. Not much change going on. A little bit closer this time around for Rob Lewis. Don't think he's going to be able to make a move, and I think you actually might need to do a solo cast for a little bit. As I have to actually just go and sort something out. Sorry, 1 second. Take over, take the wheels. I'll just leave the camera on Rob and Jonas for now.
Fair enough. Yeah, as it seems the Mercedes is still quite a ways behind the GTR. I'm not really sure that anything can quite happen yet. I wish I could change the camera, but I can't. So I'm just going to tell you, Samart has catched up to the back of Toman just a little bit. So that could be interesting. It seems like Toma's kind of struggling on his tires, and it's going to be a little close going up the hill. I do wonder if the battle between Rob and Jonas could heat up here, because it does seem like Jonas is struggling a little bit, but I'm not really sure. Ooh, as you see him go a little bit squiggly there on the exit. This could be close going up the hill. Just seems like Rob can't quite stay on the back of that GTR. Still not really that much going on right now. Everything's staying about the same. Samart's still about the same distance behind Tuma as it was before. Everyone's pretty equally spaced out right now, aside from the few small gaps here and there. So the pit window is still open as well. So I don't know if we're going to see anything more with that. I know they, I think a lot of people have pitted already, so I'm not quite sure, but we're going to have to see about that. So you see Pazzi disconnects. Not really sure what happened there. I think he was towards the back, but I'm actually not entirely sure about that. Might be, unfortunately, just from damage in general from maybe one of the accidents that happened earlier. I think so. Tom, looks like Basley came in. Did he have a mistake? He did. His last lap time was a 2:21. What happened? Or was that just a pit? I might have missed that. Well, either way, Tom Basley is now way back in 11th. So I'm not sure. That must have been a mistake, because that wouldn't be enough time to actually go into the pits. So he must have, I don't know what happened, but he fell way behind. Unless, I don't know, whatever. I probably missed something. Since Rob Lewis is still sitting a little ways behind the GTR there. Still not really much he can do. And I think Tumas as well as maybe had a little bit of a mistake. He's dropped back to about 2 seconds behind the Mercedes of Samard. But once again, it seems like there's not that much action going on right now. Adder has gotten further up in the field to 9th. So it looks like Basley is on the back of Jura, and he might be able to get him into turn 2, which is Griffin's Bend. But I'm not quite sure if it seems like he's too far away. Still, unfortunately, I can't change the camera. Seems Booma is still 11 seconds in the lead. There's not much to say up there. Tumas has fallen way, way behind Simard now. He's now 3 seconds behind, which is quite surprising. He might have, I don't know if he might have had a little bit of a moment and overheated his tires and/or wore them out a little bit too much. That might be an interesting thing to happen. See if anything happens about that. As the race is now pretty much at the halfway point. 45 minutes to go. Oh, as Basley disconnects from the server, so something must have happened. I don't know. He must have slipped somewhere. We missed it, unfortunately. I don't know if we can go back and see that at some point, but it seems he's had a mistake, unfortunately, as Adder goes into the pits. And so does Procina. Oh my gosh. Still axing these names. I gotta work. So Rob Lewis is right in the back of Jonas. This could be possibly a dive bomb. Oh, as he goes in and he knocks him out. Oh, and that could be... I don't know if that was actually... That was a little bit of an interesting move. I would say that was pretty far back to actually dive into the corner. But he does take Jonas out. Unfortunately for him, Ferrari goes by. So now I'm glad the camera hasn't changed, because that was some good timing. Yeah, we're gonna have to see about that move. I'm not... Yeah, there's a lot of spaced out cars right now. Unfortunately, it's not really that interesting right now, as it looks like Baz is coming for a pit, as well as Simard. Adder is now caught up to Juki, so that might turn into soon. As Rob Lewis also comes into the pits. Looks like Jura also comes into... So not much going on for pit strategy. It seems most of these guys are just pitting the halfway point and putting on mediums and calling it good. We'll have to see what happens when Toma comes back after his pit stop. That might be interesting. At least when he does take it. As well as Pasm. So again, not too much going on in terms of track battles. There's a possible, as Pasm comes into the pits, not too much going on right now. Kind of just waiting for things to shuffle about in terms of pit stops here. So like Jonas also comes into the pits. So Tumas is taking an interesting strategy of staying out for a little while longer than the rest of the field. I'd be interested to see how that turns out. It does seem like he's struggling on his tires. He's slipping around quite a bit. So I'm not sure it'll be worth it, but we'll see what happens. He might stay. It seems like he's going to get ahead of Samard still, but we're going to have to see. It's going to be really close. In fact, actually, well, Tumas was behind Samard, wasn't he, before the pit stop? So that might actually, he might actually shuffle ahead of him.
I'm back.
And welcome back.
Sorry about that. Did I miss anything interesting? Who should I be spectating?
Well, there was quite a few pit stops.
Alright.
I believe.
Okay.
Who was it?
mean-
I think. Oh gosh, who was it? I'm trying to think about this. There was a Ferrari that took out. Oh gosh, I can't remember suddenly.
Okay.
Oh crap.
Tom Basley's been gone. It looks like he's retired. What happened with him?
You know, he made a really. I didn't actually get to see it, but he it seemed that he made a mistake because his lap, one of the times was like a 221, and he ended up falling behind really far. And I think he just stopped. That's what it seemed like.
Okay.
So I'm not really quite sure what happened there, but yeah, it did seem like he made a mistake or something. This Tumas is going into the pits now. We're gonna have to see. So Tumas might get ahead. Oh, as he goes past the pit stop, that's not good for his timing. Unfortunately, I was gonna say he might get past Samard. What's going on? Oh, there he goes. He gets it.
After a couple of attempts, he gets there.
I was gonna say he almost had enough time to get ahead of Samard, but unfortunately, I don't know if he's gonna get that anymore with the pit stop. As bad as re-inherits the lead, as I can't speak.
Yeah, it's just a bit of a battle ongoing currently with Rob Lewis, Adder, and Dukey towards the back. Well, I say towards the back, the 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Oh, is Tumas comes right out next to
Prashnika.
Yes.
One
day I will
side
get
by
that.
side into Griffins now. Tumas looks like he's going to be able to get the position. We'll have the inside, and I think Prashnika's going to have to concede.
Oh, gets really tight. Oh, as he gets loose, but he holds
taps
it.
The wall sort of saves him there. Actually, I think if if the wall hadn't been there, I think he would have been sliding out in towards a gravel pit or something.
Gets a nice little drift tap there.
Yeah, they won't help his tyres at all.
No kidding, especially that right rear.
Yeah. Apparently, Tom effed at the top of the mountain.
I see that.
Yeah.
So clip in Discord, okay.
Yeah, do you want to take a look at that?
I shall.
And see what actually did happen.
Oh, he got loose at the, what was that, at Skyline? He got loose at the exit curb coming out of, I think, turn 10. And he ended up sliding around into the wall is what it looks like. Yeah, it ruined his rear suspension.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, so unfortunately for him, he's now out of the race.
Yeah, so only 16 cars remain. Rob Lewis about to put a move on Adder. Down the Conrad straight. And he gets it done. Adder will slip into the slipstream and try and just call back a bit of that time. Make sure Rob Lewis doesn't escape too easily. However, I think it is done. Position gained for Rob Lewis. He slides his way into 8th. Now he has Dukey not far ahead of him. 2.5 seconds ahead. Rob Lewis is going to have to make up that time. Yeah, most of the battle calming down now. Lucian Prushnika's fallen away from Tumas after that initial battle once he came out the pits.
Tom just mentioned in chat
Ooh,
that
Rob Lewis into
the
the
curbs are
wall.
very lethal.
Yeah, Rob Lewis just got into the wall at the exit of Griffin's, and his car is very badly damaged to the front. You can see the bonnet up slightly, the window smashed. I imagine there's some suspension damage as well. So he is not going to be very quick through this section. He taps the wall again, and that sent him into the opposite wall. And that is going to be another AMG in the walls here, as he's just clanging his way up the mountain. Does he keep going now? Does he go for the pits? I don't think that car's going to survive without a repair. Does he retire? I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see what he does, but he's going very slow through the S's. He's just going to cut across it. Yeah, that is a lot of damage to that AMG. Probably going to be a handful to drive now. And he has Jonas Savula not far behind him. He's probably going to take advantage of that. But Rob Lewis might just end up going into the pits anyway. By the looks of things. I mean, I don't know. It depends. It's hard to gauge how much damage he actually does have to like suspension. But the amount of wobble he's got coming into the braking zone there is not a good sign. Imagine he goes for the pits here. Yeah, he will be. He'll go for the pits. Gets the braking right for it, and that's his charge for the top a little bit worse for wear. And there's really just nothing going on currently along the track. It's just people separated by gaps, trying to stay alive. Admittedly, though, not the amount of carnage I expected. Just over 30 minutes left, and it's been relatively tame. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, unfortunately, Bathurst easily spaces out cars quite a bit due to the hill and all that kind of stuff. Oh, it looks like Thomas has gone into the wall.
Oof.
The top of the hill.
Yeah, he
hit his rear really hard.
Yeah, there's damage to the front as well. So he's got Lucian right behind him. Ada is also behind, but he's a lap down. So Tuma's probably going to be conceding a position here to Lucian Prushnika. And just as I say, there's not much action going on. We get a whole bunch of it now. Is Lucian going to be able to sail his way past Tumas with ease? And I imagine that's going to be another one probably coming into the pits, looking at the speed differential there between the two cars.
And somehow it looks like Tumas gets away with just some bodywork damage. Just incredible.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as the collateral damage that just occurred for Rob Lewis there. Tumas looks like he's just going to ride with this damage for the rest of the race. He's currently in 5th. Bit of a gap to the car behind Jonas Koberstein. Sorry, Jonas Koberstein. I believe it's about 27 seconds between the two at the start of the current lap, so Tumas really having to lift out the throttle there as he came up over the crest. Oh, it's just so sideways. It just keeps out the wall.
Oh.
It's very, very tetchy as he comes through the mountain and get under the brakes. He's just losing the car a lot here. And the time between him and Jonas Koberstein is falling. If Tumas came into the pits, he would definitely lose 6th and 7th and possibly 8th. I'm not sure how much damage he'd need to repair. However, staying out 30 minutes, that's 15 laps. Is he going to be 2 seconds slower than Jonas Koberstein? Let's see. As they come across the line, well, when they come across the line, I'll check. But if Tumas is more than 2 seconds, well, if Tumas is 2 seconds slower than Koberstein across the lap, I feel like
it does look like. Go ahead.
Sorry, that being said, though, if he did come into pit, he'd lose a lot more than just that one position to Koberstein. So it's probably wise for him just to stay out. If he's able to keep a reasonable pace, don't see why he shouldn't. 206.6 for Tumas that lap.
Wait, 2:10.5, right?
Sorry?
You mean a 2:10.5?
Oh yeah, sorry, 2:10.5. I was looking at his best. My bad. Yeah.
It's like what?
No, yeah, 2:10.5. I'm not with it right now. Thank you for steering me, and that's why we have a second person on the broadcast. But yeah, 2:10.5. Koberstein does a 2:09.5, so a second difference. So Tumas probably going to be alright to stay out, considering that first. Well, that 2:10 also includes the actual. No, it doesn't. The incident with the barriers happened the lap before as well, didn't it? Okay, yeah. So yeah, Tumas should be all right to stay ahead of Jonas Koberstein for this lap. Oh, so slidey coming out of coming towards the skyline.
Not sure how much longer he can keep that up.
I mean,
it's getting really close.
If he's going to have to drive like that to achieve a 2:10.5, I feel like his car may not remain in that state for much longer.
Unfortunately, looking at the gap ahead, he's been losing about the same time every single lap.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to gain any positions unless someone makes a mistake in front that's worse than what he's dealing with. But just also looking, Koberstein might not be able to make a charge on Tumas either, because Juki's about to start attacking him in the other Ferrari. So that might be another saving grace for Tumas and another reason to stick with this damage and just try and see it out. Tumas did a 2:09.2 that lap. So he just went 1.3 seconds quicker than his last than the previous with the damage. So yes, definitely looking pretty decent for him. I mean, I say pretty decent. He's like 2.5 seconds slower than Lukshan ahead of him, who he did overtake earlier and had a quicker pace until he crashed. So he's lost a lot of time there, probably about 3.5 seconds of time off the damage, but based on the circumstances of the race, should be okay to hold that 5th position. Pazem, he's in 3rd. That's a great race from him. He is currently lapping about the same time as Lukshan Prashnika. A little bit quicker actually on the last lap, so he might be pretty good for a 3rd position. Now he might be able to challenge Philip Samard for 2nd as well, as he was actually 2.5 seconds quicker than Philip Samard that last lap. So I wonder if he's had a couple cranks with the barrier as well, or just a bit of a mistake. Paz Boomer just set a new fastest lap, 2:06.1. He's not giving up yet. Well, I say not giving up. He's in the lead. He's not. He's not going easy yet. He's not taking it easy. He's still going at it. Juki still closing in on Jonas, just ahead of him. About 4 tenths the difference. head into the chase, and no chance this time for Juki, but might try and set something up to going into turn 2 on the next lap. Has him fallen away from Philip Samard a little bit on the last lap by about a tenth. So Philip has got on a bit of his, well, gotten his pace back, so I assume there was just a bit of a mistake on that 2:10 lap I was mentioned earlier. But Juki right on the back of Jonas right now. The two Ferraris going to be side by side, heading down the mountain straight. And I think Juki's going to have the better line. Yes, he will. He'll take the inside and take the position. That's P6 for Juki. And actually, during all of that, Juki's actually been gaining a little bit of time with Tumas. He's gained a couple seconds over that during the course of that battle. Tumas having more issues and is did put in a 2:10.2 that time. So Tumas' time's definitely fluctuating a lot. Guessing it just depends how well he keeps the car together through this mountain section. Voffel is right on the back of Jura as well. This could be an interesting battle as they head into the mountains. GT are going to have a lot of strength down the Conrad Straight when they finally make it there. That little Z4 probably going to struggle to stay ahead as long as Voffel keeps it clean and keeps close to Jura. Also worth noting, Rob Lewis did not retire actually after that collision earlier. I don't think he did, but just confirming that he just went in and fixed the damage rather than retired.
Yeah, his car looks really clean.
Yeah. Voffel now 4/10 away from Jura and closing fast down the Conrad Straight. 3/10 behind now. 2.5 tenths. 2 attempts coming into the chase. It's not quite close enough, just a bit too far away on the exit of the mountain section onto the Conrad, and Jura will survive another lap. He's going to be definitely feeling the pressure of that bigger GTR. You can almost hide the Z4 behind it. Rob Lewis, meanwhile, putting a pass on Matteo Lorenzetti down the inside of the Conrad Straight, heading towards a chase, and that's an easy pass completed. Well, I say easy. Simple pass completed, I should say. Rob a little bit loose on the exit, but keeps it in shape and gets past. And Voffel again, not quite close enough up towards turn 2 to get past Jura. Has to slot in behind as they go through the mountain once more. Really, for Voffel, it's all about just trying to stay as close as possible to that Z4 through the mountain section, keeping it tidy and making sure you set yourself up as cleanly as possible, which he's struggling to do currently, as he loses a lot of time to that Z4 through the downhill section, and he's currently the second behind as they head onto the Conrad Straight, and I don't think that's going to be close enough for him to make a move. I'd be very surprised if Voffel manages to pull up behind Jura, or pull alongside Jura. Yeah, he's way too far back. Also, yeah, Pasm is not been able to match Phillips and Mard's pace, so he's fallen back slightly. Now the gap at almost 10 seconds. Too much to tell her though, he's actually starting to get a hold of his car and has brought the gap to Lucian Prishnika down to 3 seconds. Lucian's actually I say that, Lucian's must have had an accident because he's had a 2:17 lap on his last one. However, his car looks pretty clean.
Yeah, it looks like he might have just spun.
Yeah, it's quite possible. That's definitely brought Tumas much closer again. Just a few seconds of difference. Phillips and Mard sets a 2:05.9, the fastest lap of the race. Not enough to... it's definitely not going to be enough to chase down Baz, but enough just to make sure he holds on to that second place. Just putting a bit of a statement out there that he could have been the quickest car. Or that he is the quickest car, I should say. I would imagine Baz is probably going to try and beat that one. Try and regain the fastest lap.
Looks like Lepinen got around. I don't know. It looks like he almost let him pass. That was kind of weird. I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Interesting.
Looked like coming down out of the Forest Elbow, Chemo kind of just got let past by the... oh my gosh. I still struggle with these names. I can't believe that. All right.
Salvula.
Zavula. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, they are sort of sister cars. So perhaps just sort of championship reasons, possibly.
Fair enough.
Tumas looks like he's still closing in on Prishnika ever so slightly. Gap down to about 2.5, or just under 3 seconds, should I say. Ruffle still not able to find his way past Jura either. And Rob Lewis sets a new personal best. Trying to climb the order, currently in 13th. Has Sarayan just ahead of him. Well, I'd say just ahead, about 1.5 seconds ahead. If Ruffle can just keep this distance to Jura, he might be able to make a move. As he comes onto the combo straight, he's pretty close to the car. 4/10 the difference. I feel like this is going to be Ruffle able to make a move. 3/10 and closing down the combo straight. 2/10, and I feel like this is done. This GTR speed, and actually Ruffle...
Oh, as he lifts.
Yeah, lifted out of that, not willing to go down the inside into the chase, and instead just stays back for another lap. Battle for 10th. Goes on a lap longer. Meanwhile, Rob Lewis still closing on Sarayan. About 6/10 between them two. Just Rob again getting a good slipstream and closing fast. Actually, the gap down to just under 2/10 now. And I think he's going to make a move down the inside onto the Sarayan, and he does.
Oh, he's outbroken himself a little bit.
He's gone onto the grass, and can he keep it held? Yes, he can, but he lets Sarayan back past, and he's going to have to close that gap once again. But AMG's showing a lot of speed on the straights, and perhaps the slipstream just slingshotted him a bit faster than he was expecting. Yeah, the intervals are bouncing around a lot. I think it's just because a lot of people have damaged cars, and it depends whether or not they keep a clean lap or not. Whether they get a few slides going. I'd imagine. But yeah, currently 6 retirements so far in the race. Tom Basley, the most recent one. Pazzi Malonen, Freddie, Petter, Puma, and Phil Vitt have also all retired. We got quite a few early on, after a couple of wrecks. Pretty much all of them due to wrecks, to be honest.
Yep.
Voffel nowhere near close enough to Jura to make a move this lap. Rob Lewis looks like it might be close enough though to Sarayan to make another attempt down the Conrad Straight and hopefully get on the brakes early enough to make it stick this time. He's closing the gap. It's currently half a second. I'm not sure he's going to be close enough. Maybe
He's gonna
he will
have
be.
to do a dive if he does anything.
Yeah, and it's going to be another
Oh, and he
dive,
does.
same again.
Nope.
But goes on the
Backs out.
brakes early and elects just to wait and try and get a better run onto the Conrad Straight next lap. Up at the front, Tumas Tatella has again fallen away from Lucian Prishnika. 16 seconds as well between Tatella and Yuki, who was closing the gap but had not at a quick enough rate. 6 or 7 laps left. And Adders has disconnected. But, yeah, 6 or 7 laps left, and the difference in lap time from the previous lap between Yuki and Tumas Tatella was...
Rob Lewis is going for a move. Goes down the inside.
Yeah, beautifully
It looks
done
like
there.
he keeps it.
Is he going to go too wide? No, he just keeps it out of the walls, and now he has the mountains to try and extend it out. It's nice and clear for him, and he can just use his pace to try and create a bit of a gap. Doesn't want to over commit too much though. No point wrecking the car again.
It's really unfortunate, but there's not much going on.
Yeah, stuff sort of calmed down a bit, hasn't it, really? Quite a lot of gaps between cars, though. Kimo Leppanen looks like he might be closing in on Jonas Koberstein towards turn 2. Jonas's car looks pretty damaged as well, as I think he's just had an accident as he's dropped 28 seconds behind Yuki, who is also now only 6 seconds behind Tumas Tatella. They've both had incidents on this lap. Tatella put it at 2:23 on the previous lap.
Whew.
And Jonas at 2:13. So both of them having incidents, and both of them now under threat coming into the final stages of this lap, or final stages of the race, I should say. And looks like we might be getting a bit of action after all to close this one out.
I'll just mention that it's calm every single time. That seems to be the magic word.
Yes. But I'll echo what I said earlier between Voffel and Jura. Kimo's just going to have to keep with the Ferrari through this mountain section and try and get a good run onto the Conrad Straight.
Looks like he has, but he didn't really get that great of an exit.
Yeah, 6/10 of difference. That's probably very easily, well, that is easily reachable by the GTR. There's so much pace on it. It's already down to 3/10 of difference. He might be able to make an attempt.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, and he does, but it looks like.
Wow. Okay, he gets it done cleanly before he actually started turning into the corner. I said the GTRs were quick, but wow. I mean, I imagine some of that's due to Jonas having some damage, and I assume that's hurting his aero as well.
Oh, and he
As
slides
goes too
off.
deep. Keeps out the barriers though. Oh, that is not the camera I wanted. I've accidentally just gone for like a helicam.
Yeah, so Vula's also gone past as well.
Yeah. And Koberstein's probably going to be under attack from Jura, not far away, and Foffel as well. So he might drop down to 11th before long because of that damage.
They might also be limping tires home as well.
Could be. Especially if he's had a spin. Hot tyres. So, meanwhile, Juki has Totella in his sights. Coming down the combo straight, 4 seconds the gap. What do you reckon? We're going to have a battle between these two before the end, or what are you thinking? Between Juki and Totella?
Well, I mean, you can see the gaps definitely decreasing. Looks like it's gonna be about 2 seconds possibly in this, or sorry, 3 seconds about in this lap. So we're gonna have to see about that. And at this rate, it's probably gonna be before the end of the race. So this could get pretty interesting here.
Yeah, Juki was almost 3 seconds quicker on the last lap. This lap it is, well, it's about 2 seconds again. So, yeah, the gap's definitely coming down. Just over 7 minutes remaining, and 3 seconds a gap. I mean, definitely doable. And meanwhile, Jura's just made his way past Jonas Koberstein. Voffel also right behind. Probably going to make a move here into the final corner. No, he
Oh, as he
buys
goes
his
wide
time.
again.
Yeah, Jonas struggling to keep that car on track. Voffel will slip by and move up into P10.
I do really wonder if he's burned his tires then. Except Ferrari does struggle with the tires quite a bit, especially when it's this warm.
Could be definitely possible. What do you mean by spectator lap by commentator? No idea what you're on about, but okay. Juki's not really made many. Oh, actually, Juki about 2.5 seconds behind. Totella coming onto the comrade straight. So it's going to be tight, but we might have a battle on the final couple of laps. 6 minutes left. Baz Boomer's in the second sector, so probably 4 laps remaining for these two. Is that right? 4 laps for these two guys? Because Boomer will complete his current one and then do 3 more. Yes? Is that
It
correct?
looks like it. Let me think. Yeah, it should be like 3 laps.
Yeah, okay. So these two will do 4 laps, by the looks of things.
Not that it means anything, but Baz made a tiny little mistake.
Oh,
but
no.
It seems like the gap immediately went back up, so.
I mean, that lap Juki, a second quicker than Tumas. So the gap is down to around 2. 2 point... Wait, no. Yeah? Yeah, the gap's around 2 seconds. misreading my live timing. As Boomer goes on to his 40th lap, so Ryan disconnects. And that leaves us with only 14 cars out of the 22 that started.
Oh,
And
Tumas lets him by?
Nah,
Or did he
made
get
a
into the wall?
mistake. He went slightly into the wall. Got a bit loose on the brakes. That seems the things, or
Oh, as he skims the wall again.
yeah. And that is Juki passing by into 5th, and another battle we've been denied. What we were just looking to shape up into a good final couple lap battle has just fizzled out. That's disappointing. But we do have Voffel versus Jura in the works, possibly. Voffel continues to chase him. Currently a second behind. And he's been struggling to keep it with Jura through this mountain section. Very quick down the straights, but this GTR very cumbersome through the mountain, so it's going to be tough. But he actually gets a very nice run through corner onto the Conrad straight. Turn 18. The elbow.
Let's see if the GTR can eat gap.
I'm not sure he's close enough this time around.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. It's like oh, 3.5 tenths down.
Yeah, it was a decent chunk, definitely. Looking, Phillips and Mars still has the current best time, 2:05.9. And I was about to say, Baz isn't really challenged for that, but Baz is also just put in a 2:05.9, only 600th of a second away from the time Phillips and Mars did. So Baz is possibly gunning for a best lap here.
Ooh,
And
Voffel's going around Jura.
Yeah, he's trying for the outside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? I don't think so. Jura holds that inside line and Voffel will slot in behind. So this looks like the only battle ongoing currently. Jonas Salvula might get pulled into it in the not too distant future as these two close in.
Yeah, it does look like he's struggling on his tires quite a bit because he's wobbling around all over the place.
Yeah, I assume that's probably the case. He might be under threat on these coming laps. This is the closest Voffel has been into this section, into the S's for quite a while. This might be the chance that he gets down the Comma Street, but a little bit slow towards a different. Oh! Jura gets it loose coming down the hill and into the wall. Does massive damage, cuts off Voffel ever so slightly, and it bangs the wall again. And this should be easy now for Voffel to make his way past. So much speed on the GTR, and he goes onto the grass. This is messy right now. This is dangerous driving, but Voffel seems to have got through, and Jura's going to have to concede that one now. He's not going to be able to challenge that one. The amount of damage he will have received from that bang, it's not going to be good. Yeah, he will just let Voffel go. Should be alright to hold that 10th position. Koberstein's about 15 seconds back with damage himself. And I think Jonas Salvula might be okay.
Looks like Kimo is really catching Tumas. I don't know if he had... Looks like he had a major mistake because Tumas dropped about 15 seconds.
Yeah, Tumas has been struggling a lot.
His last lap was a 2:32.
Yikes. That's a yikes from me, dog. And I never give a yikes. Yeah, I don't think Kimo will be able to close in on Tumas unless Tumas makes another mistake. Considering the gap's about 4 to 5 seconds, and we're on the last lap. Baz Boomer currently on his way up the mountain. Actually, they might do a second lap because Baz is behind them on the mountain on the track. So they're going to actually complete another lap by the looks of things. So Tumas does need to be careful, actually. The Danshan Hot Lap Special. What is that? What is the Hot Lap Special? Never heard that before in my life. Is that something I've done before? Do you want me to hot lap? Or... God, I mean, I don't have anything even set up to drive cars on a Assetto Corsa, let alone well. God. That'd be...
Baffles catching up to Savula a little bit.
Yeah. It's about a second between them. Might be possible as Baz Boomer screeching by just behind. These guys are going to do another lap. But we will watch Baz Boomer cross the line. He comes through the final corner. He's going to take the final win of the series. That is another win to his collection, and obviously the season championship to go with it. Congratulations
What's happened
to him.
to Samard?
Philip Samard. He's had a massive off there. And he might get passed by... actually, no, he's safe from Pasm. But he's had a massive off. It looks like he's going into the chase. Probably lost it under the brakes, perhaps trying to set a new fastest lap. But either way, he's going to come home in second with a damaged car. And another podium for him. Pasm in that Audi had quite a few good results this season. And that's a podium for him as well, as he will finish in third. Meanwhile, Kimmo Leppänen is right on the tail of Tumas. He needs to be careful, otherwise he's going to lose another position and drop to 7th, but he's got a long way to go, and I think the GTR is probably going to have enough strength down that Conrad straight alone, as long as Kimmo can just make sure he doesn't fall away from Tumas or make a mistake himself. Meanwhile, just behind as well, Voffel is right on the tail of Salvula as well, so the battle's heating up on this final lap, and too many to keep track of currently. Voffel also downhill on Salvula. Kimmo will follow Tumas onto the back straight, onto the Conrad straight. 5 tenths behind. I feel like this might be it for Tumas. I don't think he's going to be able to hold on to this position. Kimmo to the inside, heading into the chase. It's going to be done. That's onto the grass. Can he hold it? Oh no, he's sliding. Is he going to take him out? Oh, he takes out Kimmo. Absolute scenes at the end of the race here. Both of them out. And is that going to allow Salvula and Voffel to come through as they head into the chase? I think they are. They're side by side as well. This is absolute mayhem. Are they going to...
Oh, and he spins again.
Yes, he spun on the grass, but Salvula holding off Voffel for the time being. Prashnika, he's finished in 4th. Juki in 5th. Salvula and Voffel are going to cross the line in 6th and 7th in an unprecedented turn of events at the end. Tumas limping home. Probably going to come home in 7th, although he might... I think he's letting Kimmo past. Yes, he is. Looks like he's letting Kimmo past for that 8th position. Tumas will come home in 9th, and Jura 10th, already finished. Koperstein 11th. Rob Lewis in 12th, and Matteo Lorenzetti in 13th. And wow. Wow. What an end to that race. The final corners of the final lap, we had a bit of action, and not to say there wasn't action through the race, but what a way to end it between those two. Tumas just, with that damaged car, not able to keep it on the track, basically, as he came under attack and was just a victim by his own car, I guess. So we will go through the final results there for that race. It will be Baz Boomer taking the win. Or Baz Baumer. Maybe I'll say his name like that for once. Baz Baumer takes the win, despite what the broken results say, because people have left the session too early. Baz Baumer finishes first, Philip Samard in second, and Pasm in third. Lukshan Prashnika will finish third. Oh, sorry, 4th. Yuki in 5th. Jonas Salvula in 6th, Voffel 7th, Kimo Lepinen 8th, and Tumas Tatella in 9th after an eventful last lap there. Jura in 10th, Jonas Koberstein 11th, Rob Lewis 12th, and Matteo Lorenzetti 13th, the last of the finishers. Actually, Soggy as well, in 14th he finished as well. Sarayan, Ada, Tom Basley, Pazzi Malanen, Freddie, Better, Puma, and Phil Vitt are the non-finishers for that race. Quite a few of them at Bathurst to be expected. It was a better race than I was expecting. Quite a lot of action going on, some good racing, and that's what I love to see. Do we want to pull people in for interviews? Do you want to do that? Because I'm not very good at them.
Oh gosh, I have never done that before.
I could start things off for you. I mean, people in Split 1, they're muted. Like, we have Baz, Waffle, and Pazim. I'd try and get Baz in. He's always good to talk to. I mean, though it's often hard to actually question him on stuff because he just wins everything. So we'll try and bring him in. Let me drag him. Hello, Baz. Are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hello. So I'm going to start off at the beginning, the very start of qualifying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
I believe it was you in Discord earlier who was saying, have you seen this bug? You can go quicker on an outlap. I mean,
Oh, I
admittedly,
totally forgot about that.
admittedly, you did put in a 205.9, which would have been good enough for pole, I believe. So I think you may just be let off for that one. Plus an exceptional drive by yourself once again.
Thanks.
I mean, a lot of mayhem happening behind you. Didn't really watch you much during the entire race. I hope you'll forgive me. But some mad scenes going on all the way up to that final set of corners.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So with this season done, obviously you're the champion. I think you were the crowned champion after the previous race in Barcelona. You've just absolutely dominated things, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, thanks.
Humble as always. But I mean, we're going into the off season now. There's a few things planned. There's the iRacing thing planned. There's some Formula stuff planned, and then after that, it's a decision on whether Assetto Corsa moves into the ACR. Well, it moves into Assetto Corsa Competizione, isn't it? So obviously there'll be like test races for that, I guess. Do you have any opinions currently on whether you think it's ready for a league to conduct its league on, or are you under the mindset that if things don't improve dramatically in this off season, that it's probably going to be another season of Assetto Corsa?
I think my PR manager would have me have no opinion about that. No, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't tried it too much. I didn't like it much, so I don't know.
So if it was decided that it would go on to the Assetto Corsa competition, would you take part, or would you just sit out of it until it's
I don't know.
Improved?
We'll see.
Or see how the start of the season goes and maybe jump in later. That's always an option, I guess.
Yeah,
I feel like the first
I don't know.
Going to be carnage either way.
I think first things first. Maybe I'd like to do the F3.
Yeah,
it should be fun.
It is looking a bit into the future, I know.
But I would, for this season, actually, I did plan to do a couple of races and not invest too much time and all that.
Yeah.
And then I started winning races, and I thought, okay, this is kind of fun. So.
I mean,
I just kept going.
I can agree with you on that one.
But to be fair, I think for Phil and for Thomas, it was sort of a side thing. And when I started winning, I put in a bit more effort than them probably. So but I mean. I didn't make the silly mistakes like Phil did a couple of, like exiting the pit exit or having a bad start, like almost stalling it.
Every race you've attended, you've just been solid from basically start to finish. It's been one of those things
today
it's just
started
like,
a bit scruffy.
Okay,
but...
well, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like, okay, Baz has taken the lead at the end of the first lap, and that's the race done for him. Let's just go watch the rest of the race now. That's essentially it. I think in Barcelona as well, you just got into lead from the start. Like, I think you qualified second.
No,
and then you
not at
just...
all. I had a fight with Tom for quite a long time. I was behind him.
Oh, true. Maybe actually, yeah. Maybe I'm misremembering. I just remember
Maybe.
you getting him off the line basically into the physical set.
It was a good race,
Yeah.
Barcelona. I had to try really hard just to get past, and I got one opportunity, I think, and then I just took it.
Yeah,
and that was okay.
I remember Barcelona being a good race. To be fair, lots of fun on that one. Jeffrey, do you have anything to say? Obviously, your first
hi, Jeffrey.
broadcast.
Hey, how's it going?
Questions?
Hello there.
I think you covered anything. I mean, I can't think of anything else to add to that.
All right. I think you should interview Phil and maybe Thomas, or who ended up second in the championship. You should interview that guy too.
I don't know.
Maybe Tom.
Second. I can't
Probably
do
Tom.
maths that quickly. I'll have a quick check.
I feel like I've been overrepresented represented in the interviews. So
I mean, I do tend to try and bring in a few people, but
cool.
Sometimes I just can't be bothered.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm solo, I'm just like, let's just leave that there. But Tom Basley was second coming into this race. He had a bad show though. Pete also had a bad race, so I feel.
What happened to Tom?
Tom, he binned at the top of the mountain and retired.
So DNF?
DNF, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pete, he finished. I think he also DNF'd.
Pete Roll?
Yeah, maybe. Or was he?
He didn't start.
Oh, he didn't start. That's why I don't remember him in the race. God, it's been a long while. And then Oscar, obviously fourth in the championship. He's not taking part in this race. So yeah, I feel like Tom Basley probably actually secured that second in the championship. So I might try and drag him in. He's not down there. Ooh. I'll try and drag Phil in there.
By the way, you pronounced my name exactly right.
Which one?
On the stream just now.
What, Baumer?
Yeah, after the race had finished, I turned it on and it was perfect.
What,
so,
Baz
thanks.
Baumer?
Yes, that's right. Finally.
That's why I said like I feel like I should pronounce his name the right way for once. Because every other time I just say Boomer, Baz Boomer, which I'll probably continue doing from now just because it's easier.
I'm glad you did it right. You tried.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I know what it's meant to be. I'm just not willing to say it.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, have someone else. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah. Congratulations, and see you probably in the Formula Series or something. I'll probably commentate that at some point as well.
All right.
See ya. Enjoy your
Thanks for the broadcast.
Oh, it's
awesome.
my pleasure. I wouldn't do it for free if I didn't enjoy it.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Don't worry about me. Right, anyway, I'll let you go now. Congratulations. See ya.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Okay, and we'll drag Phil and see what he says. Hello, Phil. Are you there? I do not think he's there. Oh, he is.
How are you?
Hello. How you doing? Obviously, decent
Good,
race.
thank you.
Yeah, a decent race, second place. I can't do maths easily to figure out where you actually finished in the championship. But I feel like it's how many points you get for second place. I don't know how many points you get for second place. That's bad. But yeah, I mean, obviously a pretty decent season. You win the races you've been attending. You've been like fourth, second, another second here. So I mean, I'll ask you the same questions I asked Baz. Looking quite far into the future, actually. After obviously this off season with like iRacing stuff and the Formula Series, what are your opinions on the Assetto Corsa Competizione? Do you think it's ready for a league, or do you think it can be ready for a league after like another off season? What do you think?
I think ACC is not ready yet. Yeah. Good for the mod to try this iRacing thing. I won't be doing this.
No.
But F3 sounds fun. I'm sure I'm gonna do that. And people like having the partially limited setup stuff, so it's a bit easier to get in there. So it's gonna be this is gonna be fun, the F3.
Yeah, it's more about a bit of good racing, some fun, rather than sort of a whole championship sort of thing. So yeah, I think a lot of people do enjoy those series, and a lot of people do enjoy those Formula cars as well. I think they're a lot of fun to race in. So, are you going to be taking part in that Formula series, or do you reckon you'll just take a few of the races, or what?
No, I'll do pretty much all of them.
All right, okay, that's nice.
The F3, from what we can see, is gonna be a bit of a tire management thing with the temperatures, the way the mod is made, and I think it's the first time we see this in ACRL. Should make the races a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to them. I'll probably broadcast some of the races. I won't be taking part because I can't race anymore, just because I'm that bad. But Jeffrey, do you have anything to ask about the race, or are you gonna chicken out again?
Again, I don't really know what to ask in the first place. I mean, I'm trying to think about it.
Well, I'll go with something then. Were you surprised to see the sort of the amount of cars DNFing in this one? Because I think only like 14 cars actually finished, or was that something you were expecting? Or because obviously it's Bathurst, it's a tight track. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't see like a massive crash at the start of the race. People are pretty well behaved in that one. What are your thoughts on how sort of people were managing these sort of walls and everything?
Yeah, the start was really clean. I think I didn't see anything wrong, or even the first lap was very clean. For the whole race, 14, it's about in the ballpark what I expected. It's in sim racing we have a weird relationship with the risk taking. Sometimes we just push too hard all the time, and when we don't, we get bored. So we can lose concentration by not pushing enough. So you're never gonna see the majority of the field finish a race like that there.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it, to be fair. But yeah, it was actually an entertaining race overall. Despite no massive crash, which is both good and bad. Mostly good because it means you get more actual racing, which I do love. I don't really have anything else to ask. Do you have anything to say, Phil? Do you know where you finished in the championship, or because I can't do maths on the fly?
No, I have no idea.
No.
This season was for me a bit different.
Yeah.
I was a bit tired of doing a lot of practice to always be on the field. This year was different. It's I'm not sure I really enjoyed that much showing up a bit unprepared, and it was a different thing. But
yeah,
for sure, maybe I won't do that anymore, or maybe halfway between what I was doing and what I tried this season.
Yeah, because I understand that you want to avoid burnout, don't you? In terms of you make yourself attend every single race, and it's sort of a bit of a like a strain, like putting like all that sort of practice in and spending just so much time on it, that it can be a bit of burnout, and you just sort of think, Jesus, you just think that it's sort of not worth that sort of pressure on yourself, and it's better just to actually sort of enjoy it more. It's sort of, if you're not feeling like it, don't force yourself to do it, I guess. I've had talked to a lot of people who have sort of said that's sort of how they approach this season, which is fair enough. But anyway, I'll let you get back to your evening, and congratulations on a second place, another good podium, and a good end to the season for you, I guess.
Thanks. Good job on the broadcast.
Cheers.
Really good.
Hopefully you'll be seeing more of Jeffrey as well, who's joining me. I'll let you get back to your evening. Thanks for joining us. See ya.
See ya.
I assume we should probably pull in Pasm as well, since he's sat in split one. He probably wants to be interviewed. It'd be interesting to see how he feels, because obviously he finished on the podium as well. A good race from him. So let's drag him in.
Yep.
Hello, Pazim. You there?
Good evening.
Evening. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Let me turn off the stream for a bit. Otherwise,
Don't want to be hearing double. One of me's bad enough. So anyway, a third position for you is very nice because you've been having some solid results this entire season, really. Like quite a few. Well, actually saying you've had quite a lot of good sort of races which have sort of come undone at certain points, like through incidents and stuff. So is it nice to have a podium at the end of the season just to round things out? Because obviously I've seen you like towards the top of the field quite a lot, but never sort of in a podium scoring position. So obviously it's good, isn't it, really, to have a nice end to the season?
yeah, usually, well, I've been competing in ACRL for a few seasons now, and usually I get better at the end of the season compared to the others, and also the field gets a little bit thinner at the end of the season. But yeah, I'm very delighted with the third place.
Yeah.
It's a bit better than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, you showed really good pace during that race. Maybe bar first is a track that suits you more. But I mean, I'll ask you the same question I've asked the other two about Competizione. Would you say it's ready for a league, or?
To be honest, I'm not really experienced with Solo Corsa Competizione. I've bought it, but I've played it really well, only once or twice.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I won't ask you much more about it then, because won't be much point if you don't have much experience with it, I guess. But are you planning to racing anything off the off season, the iRacing or the Formula Series?
Yeah, the Formula Series looks nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have to upgrade my PC now. It's it's about 10 years old. The graphics card is a little bit newer, but yeah, it doesn't really pull or perform well with AC Competizione. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's on the plan. So yeah, I plan on getting some more experience and checking it out.
Yeah, sounds good. A lot of people are saying they are probably gonna or looking forward to that Formula Series as well. Not don't really. Well, Jeffrey, do you have anything to ask? Anything to tickle in your mind?
Yeah. No. How were your tires during the end of the race? How about that?
We're performing better than I expected. I didn't really practice doing a full stint before, but yeah, I gambled on the tire scoping well enough to do 45 minutes, and my right tires were always a little bit warmer, obviously, but yeah, it's all about managing the right rear, and yeah, putting the brake balance a little bit more forward, maybe during the last laps of the stint to compensate. But yeah, usually it went okay. I temps were manageable. I thought the track temperature would play a huge role in this race, and it didn't affect me that much. So I was happy to just have a good pace at the last laps of my stint. I think I was quite competitive at the end of my first stint, and at the end of the second stint, I really got unlucky with major damage on my front, so I couldn't really push anymore.
Yeah, a lot of people were struggling, well, limping home at the end of that race.
Yeah, definitely. For me, it was a long limp home, almost 30 minutes. So I was just looking in the mirror. But yeah, fortunately for me, yeah, the other guys had troubles too.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have anything else to ask or say, other than good job on a nice podium to end the season, and hope to be commentating more of them during that Formula season, which I'll probably hop in for a few of the broadcasts during that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll let you go.
All right. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Yep.
Anyway, interview's done, I guess. Oh, I've dropped him into the wrong split there. There we go. Oh wait, no, I've just moved. I've just moved Hugh out by accident. There we go. Oh, I hope he wasn't talking to anyone. I put him back though. Anyway, I don't know. I might give away a few little awards for my. Oh, I don't know if I can be bothered because I can't actually give away any VAF points, so there's not much point to it. Now that'd be another reason to do it. But I mean, you've only sort of been here for this one race, but anything you'd like to close out with, or?
I don't know. I mean, the main thing is hopefully just getting more people in the next season, and
Well, yeah, I think
just stuff like that.
yeah. Obviously, the attendance declines as you get towards the end of the season. Like we went from having 30 car grids till 20 cars from the start to the end. So obviously, it's nice to have a bigger grid. Hopefully, we can get that going and continue to expand, which would be lovely. And I don't think there's anything else to say really on that, apart from I hope you guys will join us in these broadcasts for the off season when we do a few of them. Obviously, it's just some form of the series and going into the next season, whether that be on Competizione or another ACRL season or whatever may occur. Thank you for sticking with us throughout it all, and hope we'll see you next time. And for this season, goodbye.